Elmo kind of started his life as one of the Anything Muppets, so he was basically just an extra Muppet.
I am short. I am tall. Doesn't matter much at all.
Most PBS stations would have shown Sesame Street at a time of day that kids were coming home from school. This was a program that was going to help educate. One of the really important meanings of the show was that this is a multicultural society and you're living in it. Children, especially in those communities in inner cities, might see people like themselves represented on television. And to help to combat some negative stereotypes that were developing in the culture at the time, Sesame Street was trying to teach through these puppets how to live in a very diverse, multicultural society and how to get along with other people.
Hey, you don't look like me.
You don't look like me. And he don't look like me.
So after Elmo first debuted in 1980, a series of puppet performers kind of tried their best to build him into skits and try to figure out his personality. But it's really funny if you look at early clips of Elmo, he's actually got a very gruff voice at some times.
To spend all day together.
But really, they didn't have a dedicated use for Elmo until about 1984 when Kevin Clash took over the role. There was another veteran performer at Sesame Street named Richard Hunt who had been working with Elmo up to that point. And the story goes that he kind of came into the break room and threw it over at Kevin Clash and said, "I can't do anything with this guy, see what you can do." So Kevin Clash is really the person who created the Elmo that we know today. Elmo has a very distinctive voice, that sort of falsetto, high-pitched voice. And also the way that he speaks, that he is always referring to himself as Elmo in the third person.
Oh, you make Elmo very happy.
So much of the way that he speaks is nonverbal, with those nods of the head and the very physical ways of displaying affection. I think that one of the reasons that toddlers are so attracted to Elmo is that they see themselves in him. The way that he's sort of naive and optimistic and very filled with love. He just wants to give everybody hugs. That they really wanted children to see someone who, like them, might be experiencing new things and learning how to deal with those. So this is the museum's Elmo puppet. This was used in the 1980s on Sesame Street. As you can see, he's made of this really fuzzy red puppet fleece. He's got a big bulbous orange nose and two very wide eyes, which I think helps to speak to his character, right? That he's seeing the world with new eyes and is really taking everything in. We've worked with the archivist at the Henson Foundation who was able to help us pinpoint the year to about 1984. So this one actually is a pretty significant Elmo in that it's one of the first that Kevin Clash would have been using when he created the Elmo that we now know today. Throughout the 1980s, especially after 1984, Elmo became a bigger and bigger part of Sesame Street and went from these sort of bit roles and extra roles in the background of skits to being one of the main characters on the show. When Elmo has really been the star of Sesame Street, there were entire segments of the show dedicated to Elmo's world, and those were separately produced programs that aired within Sesame Street. But then, beginning with his appearances on other forms of television, especially Rosie O'Donnell's show.
Well, hi, Elmo. Hello, Rosie.
In the 1990s, when he became sort of a frequent guest, he started to gain this larger national prominence and really get to become this international star. And the real breaking point, the moment that he became an international superstar, was in 1996 when the Tickle Me Elmo doll became the hot item for Christmas that year. It became this cultural phenomenon. The stores couldn't keep up. This whole idea that it was driving people to, fight in department stores. He really got on some people's nerves, and that laugh that so many children love can be really grating, I guess, if you hear it all the time and you're an older sibling. Elmo now has been around for 40 years, and reaching middle age, he's still just as popular as ever. Sesame Street is a blast. There were a lot of in-jokes, there were a lot of allusions to other forms of popular culture.
That is the game of chess! Huzzah! Music!
We are so honored to have the Henson collection here, including the Sesame Street Muppets. They are among the most popular objects at this museum, and they're ones that we can use to tell a variety of stories about entertainment's importance to American history. But all of these Muppets are really a testament to the power of popular culture to create community, to help us shape our identity, and to have these conversations about what's happening in the world around us.
And one loves you. Stay safe. Bye-bye, everybody.